I call Sir William Seal.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I want to state categorically for the House how proud I am to be a New Zealander, but also equally proud of my Samoan heritage. And I want to make that, place that before the House tonight as we debate this bill with reference to the people of Niue, Cook Islands and Tokelau. The Samoan in me also would like to say to members of this House how proud I am as a New Zealander of Samoan heritage that when it comes to things of the Pacific, it seems there's been a shift over the years. You'll recall, sir, that as a young man I hated Parliament in the 1970s, particularly the government of the time and what occurred during that period. But over the years, there has been a shift. And I want to commend that shift has also included the will of members of the Parliament throughout the various political parties of coming together united around supporting the people of the Pacific. With reference to this bill, however, whilst the Labour Party supports it, as my colleagues who spoke earlier, particularly Poto Williams, the government could have done more, but has not done what I believe is the right thing to do in reference to the people of the realm of New Zealand. In my earlier speech in the first reading, I referred to the people of Niue, Cook Islands and Tokelau as the forgotten people. It's a forgotten people because I think most New Zealanders have very little, if any, understanding that these are New Zealanders. We're talking about New Zealand citizens who live on soil that is referred to as realm of New Zealand. And one has to ask if we're limiting their rights as New Zealand citizen by placing this 5-year condition on them, what is the difference between people living in Niue, Cook Island and Tokelau, referred to as the Realm Islands, from those living on the Waiheke Island, from those living on Stewart Island? What is the difference? Cook Island, Niue, Tokelau use the New Zealand passport. They use the New Zealand dollar in their economy. They speak, fortunately, bilingual, but English is a predominant language. So why is the government wanting to continue to treat these New Zealanders as if they were not full New Zealand citizens, as if they were second-class citizens? And that's the argument that we will continue to push this government on, because whilst, yes, it is welcome, the change in this bill to allow people from these realm countries to return to the island once they have been able to meet the criteria of the 5 years after age 50 and receive their pension at 65, why must they be forced to do that when they are New Zealand citizens living on soil that is regarded as New Zealand soil? I refer, sir, that Niue and the Cook Islands became a British protectorate in 1888. Niue became a member of the New Zealand realm in 1901. That Tokelau became a protectorate of the United Kingdom and a territory of New Zealand in 1877. So, it isn't something that have just happened overnight. The UK took over, gave Cook Islands protectorate because they were afraid of what the French might do. If you look further, sir, New Zealand had a role to play in the 1800s when the United Kingdom, Germany, and America were trying to divvy up the Pacific. They left Samoa to the Germans and took over Fiji, And then in 1914, at the beginning of the First World War, New Zealand landed on the shores of Samoa and took control of Samoa thereon. So the history isn't, this isn't something, it's not a one-night stand, if you'd like. This has been for some years now. And so I think the House needs to be quite clear in its thinking that we are talking about New Zealand citizens living on New Zealand soil, not in a distant island that is not part of the realm of New Zealand. I can accept that Samoa and Tonga, despite how they might wish, but firstly, these are the forgotten New Zealanders that must be recognised and acknowledged as full-bloom New Zealand citizens. Only a few weeks ago, sir, the country celebrated Anzac Day. And it is seems like new information to many New Zealanders when we say to them that 500 Cook Islanders volunteered to fight for, well, the Empire, but on behalf of New Zealand. Fought in the First World War, Second World War. 150 plus Niueans fought in the First World War. And that's why often they are forgotten in the action because they were either small in numbers or they were often referred to as Māori because Sir Maui Pomare, and trying to raise the number of Māori for the Māori battalion, at one time, and rightly so, some Māori says, why should we go over and fight the war when we're treated differently here? And therefore it was Cook Islanders, Niueans, who were brought on board to fill the Māori battalions. I have to say, I also want to acknowledge the numbers, although very minor, 33, I think, from Samoa, and individuals from Tonga and Fiji who also took part in that war. The point I'm making, sir, I'm glad that the Parliament, this House of ours, is united in terms of the Pacific. And I wholeheartedly, along with my colleagues of the Labour Party, support this bill here. But I want to say to the government that they could do more. They can do more. But they first need to recognise this isn't a different group of people. These are not foreigners. These are New Zealand citizens living on the soils of New Zealand, the realm of New Zealand. So, I think there was room for the government to seriously consider the removal of the condition that they placed in, and there is a supplementary order paper that my colleague Porter Williams, and that will be introduced by New Zealand First, that I look forward to debating that. I want to also say, sir, that I think it was Porter Williams in one of the sessions of the Select Committee that asked, how much would it cost if we did away with that condition? I think it was in the tune of 9 to 21 million. I followed up with a question and asked the officials, how much would it save New Zealanders if we allowed that to happen? If we allowed the full rights of Niue, Tokelau and the Cook Islands to receive the full pension? They could not answer that. They could not answer. And I have to ask, well, why didn't the government do any work in terms of identifying the ongoing savings if this would took place and the long-term benefits to the relationship of New Zealand and these Pacific Islands, who are realm of New Zealand citizens? And I think, sir, if they seriously looked at that, they would find that there would be savings of more people returning to retire in the islands in the same way that Aucklanders retire to Waiheke and the Hauraki Gulf.
12 date. I call Stuart Smith.